At this time, ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Our program is about to begin. Welcome to Home Remedy.
Second chance.
Nobody can describe moving day.
The appears to be me.
At this time, we'd like to welcome Nicole Burley to the stage.
Good morning, everyone. Let me adjust this. I'm always a little bit taller than people anticipate. So, full disclosure here, they have this wonderful script. It's in a binder, and of course I have to be the difficult one and bring my own. So bear with me here, but I do want to welcome you this morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedules, joining us this morning. This obviously is a very important day, but continue to eat your breakfast, enjoy the food as we continue this program. I'm Nicole Burley. I'm an anchor and a reporter at WCVB News Center 5. We are the proud media sponsor of Pine Street Inn's 50th anniversary, so I'm so pleased to be a part of this special event. We have a short video. It was produced by Boston ad agency Allen and Garrettson and Pine Street's 50th anniversary marketing partner, and it features several Pine Street tenants. Now, as I mentioned, we are the media sponsor, Channel 5. We are excited to be working with Pine Street Inn on a 5 fixer-upper. It's a homemaker of one of their Boston residences with new kitchens. It has new bathrooms, new furnishings, castle events, and the New England home shows, Norfolk Kitchen and Bath, Bath Fitter, FW Webb, Capitol Carpet, and Bertie and Phil's have all generously pitched in to make this happen, so we thank them so very much. I recently had a chance to visit Pine Street's headquarters about 2 weeks ago, and I was so impressed by the organization's size, by their scope. I learned that they have 40 housing locations in Boston and Brookline, and it's just great to learn that there is such a focus on housing. And it's also great to be a part of this city that has made a commitment towards solving the challenge of homelessness. So we thank you. We thank Pine Street, and of course, we thank Mayor Marty Walsh. Well, of course, by being here today, you are part of this commitment to solving the homelessness crisis. Your support is helping Boston truly turn the tide against homelessness. But again, we are here. This is the 50th anniversary, so we know that this really is still a problem. I do want to take time now to recognize a few special people who have been a part of Home Remedy over the years. First, I would like to give a shout out to Joanne Chang, who along with Christopher Myers runs Flower Bakery and Cafe, and Myers and Chang. Joanne is a good friend to Pine Street, as well as a guest chef for today's event. So of course, we are all enjoying, or will be enjoying, her legendary sticky buns. Thank you so much, Joanne. I feel like the applause got a little more serious when we were talking about the sicky buns. I would also like to acknowledge former Home Remedy speakers Eliza Dushku, Tom Glenn, John Heiler, and Ted English. Well, this is truly an honor right now. I'd like to welcome David Gergen. David is a former Home Remedy honoree and a Pine Street volunteer. Most of you will recognize Mr. Gergen from his political commentary on CNN. He has been a White House advisor to 4 presidents. He is the founding director of the Center for Public Leadership at the Harvard Kennedy School. That's where he's a professor of public service. So please join me in welcoming Mr. David Gergen.
Good morning. Good morning, and thank you all for coming for this enormously important gathering. I must tell you that every Christmas, my wife and I have 3 grandchildren here in the Boston area. Our daughter is a doctor over at the Boston Medical Center. And the highlight of our Christmas season, surprisingly enough, is not opening presents. It is their annual visit to the Pine Street Inn, where they have an opportunity to serve the meals, to talk to the people who are there, the homeless women, homeless men, and to understand life in a different place in our society, and to relate to the people, and to come away understanding that everyone needs dignity. Everyone needs a sense of respect for who they are, regardless of where they may be on the margins of life or whether we may be affluent. But dignity is extremely important, and that is one of the things that the Pine Street Inn provides. It is a place where every person who comes, and they serve 2,000 people a day, 2,000 homeless people a day, but they do it with respect, with kindness, with understanding. There's the opportunity to talk to each other. Our grandchildren just love sitting down talking to these folks, and it has been enormously important for their own personal growth. And so there, in so many ways, Pine Street Inn, I think, exemplifies the best of Boston, a city with a long record of heart, of caring for citizens, and of trying to be, we're no longer feel that what John Winthrop called that this nation is a city upon a hill. That seems to have lost a little of its luster. But Boston is increasingly becoming that city on a hill they spoke about when the Pilgrims first came here. It's in that spirit today that we gather to honor this initiative and to support this initiative by the Pine Street Inn, working with the enormous support of Mayor Walsh, who has been critical to this, to raise $10 million, to add an additional 225 units of housing. This is the biggest housing initiative for the homeless that's ever been undertaken by this city. And the good mayor is just arriving. Thank you, Mayor. Good to see you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. So I just want to say that this is an important project, and it's also part of a broader effort by the mayor and his office to make this city ever healthier. And we're already in the top 5, I think, Marty, aren't we, in the question of health and housing, in top 5 cities in the country. I think I've seen a couple of surveys on that, and it's Boston, New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and San Jose, and Boston's right up there in the top. And this is going to continue. This effort is going to continue to lift the overall health of the city. But most of all, we're reaching out to our fellow citizens at a time of enormous inequities when some of us are on top and some are on the bottom. And we need to close those gaps. We need to make sure that those people who are caught in the bottom have adequate housing, have ways that they can live dignified lives. And this initiative is going to do more to advance that, especially with the mayor's help, than almost anything Pine Street Inn has ever undertaken. The 50th anniversary of Pine Street Inn, and it is I think, underscores just how vital and Pine Street Inn is and how much it's doing by the fact that on this 50th anniversary, it would launch its largest and biggest initiative for the homeless. We'll make it work. The mayor will help bring it home. Thank you very much.
We'll readjust here. Thank you so much, David Gorgon. Let's give him another round of applause. All right, well, I'd like to make a quick announcement right now. Hopefully, when you arrived, you received a raffle ticket when you stopped at the registration table. There is an important reason for that. To thank you for being here this morning and showing your support, getting out of bed early, 2 lucky winners will receive tickets for games with our world champion teams. First, 2 tickets to a Red Sox game, courtesy of WCVB Channel 5. So, of course, go Red Sox. And another drawing for 2 tickets to a Patriots game, courtesy of Castle Events and the New England Home Shows. So right now, it is my pleasure. I think we're doing this after. Are we doing this now?
Are we doing this now?
No, that's after. We're going to make you wait. It is now my pleasure to introduce Lyndia Downey. Lyndia is president and executive director of Pine Street Inn. She is known all throughout Boston and beyond for her amazing work with the great organization Pine Street Inn. Lyndia's entire career truly has been focused on ending homelessness. She has been at the helm of Pine Street's work for more than 30 years. Lyndia brings passion and compassion to her work, and we are so very lucky to have her here in Boston. Please join me right now in welcoming Lyndia Downey.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Nicole. Thanks to all of you for being here at the crack of dawn. Really, nobody should be up this early, honestly. But thank you for being here, and we really do appreciate it. We're very, very lucky to live in a city where all of us, including the mayor, care a lot about homelessness, and we're working really hard every single day to bring the numbers down. I jokingly said to somebody the other day, the good news is the mayor is working really hard on homelessness. The bad news is the mayor is working really hard on homelessness. He has not given us a break. We are on this every day, all the time. He's making us look at data. Sheila's calling me twice a week saying, let's keep moving on this. But we're very grateful for it. You know, being 50 is a funny place to be. Although this is a significant milestone, I would not say celebration's the right word. Over 50 years ago, a group of young activist priests called the Association of Boston Urban Priests were asked to take over a facility, which interestingly enough was on Pine Street in Chinatown, which was about to close. It was a facility that served 300 homeless men, and it was about to close in a week. Someone called Frank Kelly, Father Frank Kelly, and said, do you think you guys could run this place? And Monsignor Kelly now said, we didn't know a thing about running a shelter, but we knew we needed this place. Soon after, a nonprofit was created and a board was appointed, and that board hired Paul Sullivan, Pine Street's legendary first director. On that very first board was Monsignor Kelly, Robert Walsh, who was then head of the Boston Redevelopment Authority, and Vin McCarthy, a real estate attorney at Hale & Dorr, now known as Wilmer Hale. The 3 of them started what we know today as the Pine Street Inn, and they have been actively involved for all of these 50 years, believe it or not. I know they're here. They're all here. I'm going to ask the 3 of them to stand so we can say thank you. It is their shoulders that so many of us that work at Pine Street have stood on, and I want to thank them. 50 years on, we've come a long way, and we thankfully know a lot more about what it takes to end homelessness. We now have data, and we know that some people can be reconnected very quickly to friends or family. We know other people need help with first and last month's rent, and others need affordable housing and support if they are to stay off the streets. And for all the data we have, and I will be the first to tell you that I love data, Data alone will not solve anything. The essence of our work is the relationships and the community we build with our guests and tenants and with each other. That has not changed in 50 years. And that's where you come in. We could not do our work without your help. Our staff could not be on the outreach van 365 days a year unless we have the support to be able to do that. We couldn't build this new housing without your help. In the past few days alone, I got an email from the head of our outreach team about a man named Joseph who's been living outside for the past 3 years. He's often on my radar because I often get phone calls about him. Our staff have worked tirelessly to get him into treatment. He's actually in treatment as we speak, and they managed to find a sister in Pennsylvania who got sober 5 or 6 years ago, and she's offered to have him move back in with her. So we are literally picking him up from treatment, putting him on the bus, and he's going back to live with his sister. They haven't seen each other in 10 years. Recently, I sat in on a mindfulness class that's now required as part of our job training programs, providing the tools to help our trainees thinking through making good decisions. And a young man named Dominic sat next to me. And he told me that this class was working for him because someone had stolen his phone and he was really upset. And instead of going after the person, he went and got some help and figured out a way to get a new phone. And he was very proud of himself for not, as he said, punching the guy. But listen, I think for him this meant a lot. But this kid is 20 years old. His mother died when he was 17 and he ended up in foster care. He aged out at 18. Couch surfed for a little while, and he's now with us. He's in our training program. He's taking 2 classes at the local community college. This kid's a really hard worker, and I feel very confident we will get him a job. He's in our food services training program, and we'll get her housing. But I have to say this, imagine trying to figure this out when you're 20 and you have no one to help you. You're the reason we can help him, and you're helping him by helping us. So back to data for 1 minute. I share this number all the time, and I know the mayor likes this number too, but I do want to say that about 3% of the people who are homeless in the city of Boston stay outside. 3% is too high. Actually, this year it went down a little bit, so we're a little below 3%. But in places like Seattle and San Francisco, those numbers are well above 50%. And while we're happy that 3% is a low number, we need to get that number down to 0. But my point is, if we don't keep our foot on the gas and we don't keep working really hard at this, our numbers are going to grow because it's a challenging environment, as you all know. What's it going to take to get this to 0? It's going to take more housing, and more housing targeted to people that are long-term homeless, because those are the folks that end up on the street and in shelter for many, many, many years. We passed a milestone a few years ago by expanding our housing to the point where we have more people in housing than we have shelter. We know that a year after we place people in our supportive housing, 91% of them are still there. In March, we announced that we, along with our partners, community builders, plan to build 225 units of supportive affordable housing on Washington Street and Jamaica Plain. 140 of those units will be dedicated to chronically homeless men and women. This project helps moves us towards our 50th anniversary goal of having over 1,000 units of supportive housing. So that's what we're talking about today. We have a number of, I think almost every hospital in the city is here today, which I'm very grateful for. But I do want to say that one of the great things about supportive housing, especially for people who have complicated medical issues, is that supportive housing ends this horrible ER back to the streets, inpatient back to the streets. It really stops that cycle. But there's been a couple of studies done locally that point to the fact that there's a savings of close to $11,000 per person by placing people in supportive housing. So this is a win-win, really, for everyone. So let me close this circle first by thanking our board, who has brought us from the days of shelter to a true and lasting solution for the homeless men and women we work with. I especially have to thank Pat Jones, our just absolutely extraordinary and wonderful board chair, who we adore, so thank you. I know Laura Sen's here. Laura Sen, who's chair of our 50th anniversary, former board chair of our 50th anniversary campaign. She is the bomb, and she's great, and thank you. I want to thank Natixis, who's the lead sponsor of this morning's breakfast and who are just great partners all year, not just today. The mayor will be talking a little bit more about the Boston Way Home Fund in a little bit, but our lead donors to that fund, Bank of America, Liberty Mutual Insurance, Partners Healthcare, Brigham Health, Mass General, and Suffolk Cares. You'll hear more about them later, but suffice to say, we would not be here without you. Ron Drucker, I know, is here. Ron, thank you for all your help with the fund. I know the trustees from the Keene Charitable Foundation are here. Thank you so very much. Gordon Family Foundation, BJ's longtime supporter of Pine Street, our great friends at Eastern Bank, the Karp Family Foundation, and Tom O'Brien. Tom, I think you're here at HYM Development. So thank you all. I want to say one other special thank you to the two people I call our guardian angels, Jean Temple and Ted English, who are going to challenge to help us again this year. So thank you. But listen, the folks who support us, the companies, the individuals, they're in your book. They're on the screens. We cannot say thank you enough. I wish I could take every single one of you out on our outreach van one night and show you how much it means to us and just what a difference it makes. So thank you. I want to thank the elected officials who are here. I saw Representative Cullinane come in. I think Representative David Beal is here. I think I saw Anissa Asabi George a minute ago. I know you're here, Anissa. Representative Aaron Michaelwitz couldn't be here this morning. He's our state rep. There's some staff here from his office, so thank you to Aaron. Sheila Dillon, who heads up the Mayor's Department of Neighborhood Development and our great partner in this work. I think Bill McGonigal's here from the Boston Housing Authority. Joyce Linehan, the Mayor's Chief of Staff and Policy. I think John Barrows is here, the city's Chief of Economic Development. I want to thank Judge Coffey, who runs our homeless court. And if you have not been to homeless court, you have an open invitation to come and see homeless court at Pine Street Inn. I know Angela Menino's here. Angela, you're here somewhere, but thank you for years and years of help and support. Bob Polster, who's head of the United States Interagency Council on Homelessness. Callie Crosley, our former MC from WGBH. You're going to see a video in a little bit made by Indersano Studios. The pictures you saw out front were done by Charlie Abrams. And also, we have an incredible turnout today from the legal community in Boston. I mean, there's probably 10 law firms here. So I want to say thank you for that. Thank you very much. I'm going to close with really two quick quotes. The first from one of our tenants who, interestingly enough, lives at Keene House in Dorchester. And when I said to her, what was it like when you were in the shelter? What did you want? She said, all I wanted was a room, a place to call home, and to be treated like a human being, and getting housing makes you feel like a human being again. I want to say one other thing. So a number of years ago, Kathy Hirsch, a wonderful writer, who I think is here today, Kathy wrote my favorite book about homelessness called Songs from the Alley. Kathy worked with our staff for 2 years in our women's shelter. She traveled with the outreach van. And at the end of the book, she said, the only real change occurs when we invest ourselves in the lives of others, sharing our skills, contributions, time, and money to bring additional housing and work opportunities for those who haven't had our good fortune. Listening with an open heart to the Songs from the Alley. That's what you're doing today, and thank you all so very much.
Let's give Lindy another round of applause. Thank you so much, Lindy. That was beautiful. All right. I now have the pleasure of announcing the winners of our 2 fabulous door prizes. Now we'll come up on stage. So first will be the tickets for the Red Sox and then for the Patriots. Please stand and wave when I call your number, and then someone from Pine Street staff will come by with instructions for the tickets. All right, the lucky winner of the Red Sox tickets is, you know what? Jay, you pick one and then give it to me. We'll make Jay do it. All right. 062152. Last number is 2152. Uh-oh. Maybe we have a winner? Oh, there we go! Well, look at that! Miss Crossley! Congratulations. This was not set up. As you can see, Jay just drew that. All right. All right, the next we have the winner of the Patriots tickets. All right, Jay, do me the honors, please. All right. This is probably going to be Mayor Walsh. All right. 062154. 2154, the last four numbers. All right, over here. All right. Congratulations. I'm not sure. Thank you, Jay. Congratulations to both our winners. Okay. All right, well, next we are going to enjoy a video and a chance to learn a little bit more about Pine Street, and then after that, we will hear from a very special speaker. Thank you so much.
We started the street outreach meeting on the evening street outreach meeting when we lost a guest. His name was Freddie. He was on his way here. We had sent a couple staff out on foot to find him, couldn't find him, and the police found him the next day dead in a stomach about 4 blocks from here. And we knew he was
Good morning. My name is Charlie, and I'm happy to be here this morning to share my story with you. You might be surprised to know that for many years, I worked for big corporations like IBM and Intel. So I might have expected to be in the audience as a supporter of an event like this, rather than talking about my personal journey into and out of homelessness. Mine is one of those that can happen to anyone's stories. Did I ever imagine I could become homeless? If you had told me 5 years ago that homelessness would happen to me, I would have never believed you. I graduated college and worked for many years as an electrical engineer. As I mentioned, I worked at major corporations like Intel and IBM. I owned a home, I had a family, I had a life. Like many people, I was a victim of the economic downturn and was laid off from my job. For a long time, I looked for jobs, but just wasn't able to find anything. I got by on unemployment, but as time went on, I got really discouraged and my life spiraled downward. I became extremely depressed, even suicidal, and turned to alcohol and other substances. My wife divorced me, and I became estranged from my son. Then homelessness followed. First, I was hospitalized for my mental health issues. Then I got connected with Pine Street Inn. From that point, my story changes for the better. The staff at Pine Street have really been there for me. They are helping me put my life back together piece by piece. I'm happy to report that I have reconnected with my son. I have reassessed my life, and I am about to go back to school to become a teacher, possibly teaching math. Now I do a lot of volunteer work, including an after-school program with Citizen Schools and Boston Partners in Education. I tutor a 10th grader in geometry. Recently, I started volunteering with Horizons for Homeless Children. It feels good to be busy and to be giving back. I'm so appreciative to be getting the support I need, and I feel good. There's a stigma and a misconception that a lot of people don't want to take the steps to get out of their bad situation. It's true that homelessness can happen to anyone, going from college to a good job, a house, and a family to homelessness. That was a really difficult transition. To describe where I am in a few adjectives, I'd say hopeful, happy, and healthy. Eventually, I want to go back to work. I'd like to transition from supportive living so someone else can be helped through this program. Throughout this entire experience, I've learned so much. I've learned about myself, and I've learned that I can persevere. I've learned that I'm stronger than I thought. I know I'm headed towards a new beginning. I know this is not my final destination, but I am so grateful to have this home and a supportive community as a stop along the way. Please know that your investment in Pine Street's work pays off in a big way for so many people, each of whom has their own story, their own unique story. I thank you for being here this morning and for listening to my story.
Charlie, that was so brave of you to get up here and tell your story. And we're very fortunate that you tell the story of Pine Street better than anybody can. I'm Laura Sen. I'm a Pine Street board member and former chair of the board. And as Linda mentioned, I'm helping to chair the capital campaign for our 50th anniversary. I want to thank you all for coming here, because just your being here means that I know you support our cause. I took it as an omen that David Gergen mentioned John Winthrop, and I want to read a tweet from John Winthrop. We must be knit together in this work as one man and woman, I think he meant that, but we must entertain each other in brotherly affection. We must be willing to abridge ourselves of our superfluities for the supply of others' necessities. We must uphold a familiar commerce together in all meekness, gentleness, patience, and liberality. We must delight in each other, make others' conditions our own, rejoice together, mourn together, labor and suffer together, always having before our eyes our commission and community in the work, our community as members of the same body, so that we keep the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. I don't know what words could be better said that define our mission and what we're trying to accomplish at Pine Street. So I'm a simple person, and I will simply say the solution to homelessness are homes, and that's what we're working really hard on doing. The mayor's helping us work on this, and I'm asking you to help us work on this. This morning, we're very fortunate. Linda mentioned Jean Temple and Ted English, who have generously stepped forward to pledge jointly $100,000, and they want to challenge all of you in this room to find a way to pick up the pens on the table and fill out the envelopes and donate whatever you can see fit to give to help us with this super important mission. I think that we're all proud that we aren't San Francisco with 4,000 people sleeping on the streets, and we aren't Seattle, and we aren't any of the other cities that we've heard about. And the reason is because we care and because of how much all of you can help us. So thank you very much. Pick up those pens and give what you can give.
So thank you, everybody. And thanks for your help today. We appreciate, to say Jean and Ted are just superstars to us, and they've been terrific and really helped us turn this breakfast into something that brings a lot of resources to our housing projects. So before the mayor comes up to the stage, I want to say a few words about him. As you all know, he's worked very hard on homelessness. He's got a whole lot of things he's working on, but we're very grateful that he has chosen to really create a citywide plan on homelessness. You know, I've known the mayor a long time. My very first, I went up to see the mayor, actually. I had this job for about 2 days, and I don't think I knew the mayor. I think I was in an acting job. And Bill Coughlin took me up to the State House to meet some people. And we walked by then Representative Walsh's office, and Bill said, oh, well, let's go in and talk to Marty Walsh. And I said, well, we don't have an appointment. We can't just walk in. And he said, oh, I'm from Dorchester, and he's from Dorchester. Of course we can walk in. And that's exactly what we did. And Representative Walsh was nice enough to see us. But when the mayor was a state rep, we worked very closely with him on lots of issues around homeless and substance abuse. But, we were out this past winter doing the census in January on the coldest night this entire winter. It was freezing. And we came across 3 young people on off of Washington Street at the store 24 there. And they were all actively using, and they were all in really tough shape. And the mayor knew one of the young men, knew someone who knew someone from Dorchester. And I watched the mayor spend about 40 minutes with this young guy trying to get him into treatment, offered to make a call, said, I'll get you a ride tonight. It was phenomenal. And I thought, it was so bitter cold, we could hardly stand out there. But this is who this mayor is. Last year, after his election to a second term, rather than hold an inaugural event, he launched the Boston's Way Home Fund, a $10 million fund to help build 200 at least 200 new units of housing for men and women moving out of long-term homelessness. This is part of the city's overall plan to end homelessness. I'm very grateful for the mayor's vision on this. We're working with the mayor's office to raise these funds. And we've made a great start. We have made a great start. So it's my great pleasure to introduce Mayor Walsh.
Thank you very much, Lindy, and thank you for the work that you do. Monsignor Kelly, thank you as well, and Bob and the other folks that started Pine Street 50 years ago. Thank you for your work. Charlie, you're a powerful example, getting up here, telling your story. That is not an easy thing to do, and you're going to be an unbelievable teacher, so thank you. To all the folks at Pine Street, the board members, past and present, to the staff, to any clients, thank you for being here today, this morning. I know they were mentioned already, but you have to mention them again. State Representative Danny Cullinane and Dave Beal, who are fighting the fight at the State House along with Aaron Mikowitz, he's a great champion. Thank you very much. Anissa Sabi-George, who, when she got on the City Council, made one of her top priorities when it comes to education, working and making sure that we house homeless families. That's such a big problem in our district and all districts across the country, but we're working on it. So I want to thank you, Anissa, for what you do. Judge Coffey, who is amazing in so many different ways, helping us with homelessness and addiction and working through the courts and willing to go to other courts and talk to judges and clerks and everyone about doing all that work. Thank you for that. My team at the city, I have incredible people that work with me every single day. I want to thank Sheila and Joyce and Lila and John and everyone that's here, but people that aren't here every day, not here today, that are working. Thank you for your work as well. I think I got everybody. Congratulations to Pine Street in 50 years. And I'm going to just talk in a minute about Boston's Way Home Fund. But before I do that, I got a call yesterday. I was in the car and I was heading. It was about 5 o'clock, and I got a call from somebody that I know, and this person lives on Boylston Street in the Back Bay. And he wasn't saying anything mean, but he was talking about the homeless problem at the Copley Library has gotten worse, and you got to do something about it. And I'm not criticizing this individual because he's calling because of quality of life, but I was thinking about that call all night, and I was thinking about that call on the way here this morning. And these folks that sleep in front of the library or behind the library on the grates or in downtown Crossing or Melnina in Mass or in a neighborhood park, they're not a piece of furniture. They're not a piece of trash we can just pick up and put in a bag and put it away. They're individuals. They're Charlie. They could be me. They could be you. They're somebody's loved one. And again, I'm not criticizing this person, but the issue of homelessness is not going to be resolved by pushing somebody from in front of Trinity Church to Melnina Mass Ave, pushing them from Melnina Mass Ave down to Pine Street Inn, pushing them from Pine Street Inn to Dorchester Avenue, pushing them from Dorchester Avenue to Hyde Park Avenue. That's not how this issue is going to be resolved. Homelessness is a complex issue. As Charlie talked about, it's compounded by addiction, poverty, mental health, or other health issues, or maybe all of them. Every person on our street has a story, and every person on our street has a story to tell. Pine Street Inn treats every single person who comes through their doors with dignity, compassion, and respect. I've told a story in the past that when I was a state representative, Lindy asked me if I wanted to go out in the Pine Street Inn van. And I remember going out in the van. I was a pretty brand new state representative. And we were driving around the city, and at that point, I knew where everyone was living. Behind the chapel in the waterfront, people had not houses, but that was their home. The grates behind McCormick Building and down in by the State House, where I park every single day, where I used to park every day. And I was down by Liberty Roast Beef, which is now the Liberty Hotel, and there's a guy down there, and I was talking to him, a young kid, 28 years old. And I said to him, like, he looked like he was put together, like he didn't look the part that we all think. And I said, what are you doing? He says, I'm a loser. I said, you're not a loser, you just need to go get some help. You know, at the time I was sober a little bit, and I said, you know, if you have drugs, alcohol, you get sober. He goes, I'm just a loser, my life is worth nothing. And I remember driving around, it wasn't a cold night, but it was cold enough, it was a March night. And I remember getting home, and I was living at the time, I was living, my family was a three-family, I was living in one of the apartments, and I remember walking in, it was 3 in the morning, my father was awake because he was retired, and he stayed up all night long, and I walked downstairs, and he says, how was the night? And I said, Dad, we're millionaires. We are millionaires compared to what the people I saw tonight and the struggles they had. And Pine Street Inn, for a long time, have taken care of those people that identify themselves as losers, identify themselves as not worth taking care of, not worth helping. And thank you, Pine Street, for 50 years of doing this, helping thousands of people break the cycle of homelessness. And thank you for helping people to give them the inspiration to break the cycle of homelessness. Pine Street Inn, what they do, giving warm meals, one-on-one counseling. What you see on the video of the outreach workers going out, that wasn't shot for the video. That's every single night, 365 days a year, that people go out in the van while we're sitting home tonight watching the Bruins on one station and watching the Celtics on the other station, and going in the kitchen and grabbing something to eat if we want to grab something to eat, and go into our bathroom, and then later on go up to our bed and go under our clean sheets and go to bed. Pine Street Inn people, workers will be out there tonight working to help people that don't care if the Bruins are playing tonight or not. That's what they do every single day. I've attended the graduations of Pine Street Inn and seen big smiles on the faces. I had a chance to speak at the graduation one year as a state representative, and I was speaking at the graduation, and across the river was Harvard's graduation. And I would much prefer, no offense to Harvard grads in this room, much prefer to be a Pine Street Inn's graduation because it means more. I've watched Pine Street help people move into their own apartments. I've watched Pine Street transform lives. I've watched Pine Street sit at a table with me as the mayor and our team and just literally tell us we're not doing it right after we had to close Long Island Bridge. And we were able to work together to fix that. Boston's Way Home Fund. Lydia talked about it. It was an event after I got re-elected in 2017. We were talking about having an inauguration, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. Raise $2 million or whatever you have to raise and have a big party, probably at the Heinz, and everyone comes in, and you don't get a chance to talk to anyone. And most people don't want to be there, but they got to be there because I'm getting knocked in. And like, I don't want to be there with him. And we said, let's do something completely different. Instead of having an inauguration, let's ask the Boston business community and other people to donate money to a fund to end and build housing and end homelessness in Boston. And our goal was $10 million over 4 years. And I'm going to end with something in a minute, but I started to think about our goal, and we started with Lindier and Pine Street and said, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to raise $10 million. We're going to build 200 units, maybe more, of supportive housing. We started the process off. To date, we've raised $5.2 million in about a year and 4 months. And it's been amazing. The first business I called was a guy who was fairly new in his job. He's been in there about a little over a year, maybe a little under a year. Michal Chamberlain. I called him up, Bank of America, and I asked Michal if he would help me in donating $1 million to this fund, and he said absolutely. I think they're coming on the stage now. He's certainly a true leader in the corporate community. He helped me kick off this fund. he stepped up with more money. We started off with, I think, $250,000, Mihal. And then Mihal, after a little while, we started moving. He said, let's call me up one day. He goes, listen, I'm going to give you another $750,000. And I want to thank Mihal and Ann Finucane and Bank of America for their leadership. Thank you, Mihal. On behalf of the city of Boston, Mihal, I want to thank you and Bank of America for helping the homeless men and women on our streets. One of the other calls I made was to Melissa McDonald. I'm actually supposed to ask you guys to stand. If you want to stand, please stand. Melissa does Liberty Mutual, already does amazing work in this area, but the nature of their business is to understand what it means when people face emergencies, insurance companies. They have an amazing track record of supporting organizations with life-saving aid to men and women, children who experience homelessness, and I want to thank you. This week, Serve Liberty, there's a team working at Pine Street Kitchens all morning this week, so thank you, Melissa, for your help. The next company I called, and he's on everyone's short list, is John Fish. And I made a phone call to John, and Linda Docina-Fori is here today from Suffolk Cares. Suffolk Cares is the charitable arm of Suffolk Construction. Suffolk is committed to building smart through problem-solving, creativity, and collaboration. And that's exactly the mindset that they've brought to Boston's Way Home Fund. Giving back is certainly in the company's DNA from the top down. I want to thank Linda, who is my friend, my neighbor, my former senator, somebody who's perfect for that job, to work and being able to be involved in the community. So thank you, Linda, and thank you, Suffolk Construction. We have some other folks. Another person I called was a dear friend, Dr. Peter Slavin from Mass General Hospital. Peter, please, Ron Walls from Brigham Health, Matt Fishman from Partners. Again, pick up the phone. Dr. Slavin's first words to me all the time is, how can I help? What can I do? That's what he says every time I call him, even when it's just to see him on the street. How you doing? Good. How can I help? What can I do? They understand the importance of getting people off the street. They understand the importance of getting people housed because of what they do every single day. Understanding that housing is good medicine and that a place to call home is basic good health. Mass General and Brigham saw this as a way to make housing a special, a social factor of health and reality for those in need. So I want to thank you, all three of you, for what you've done as well. Roger Crandall, Chairman and President and Chief Executive Officer of MassMutual Insurance Company. I'd ask you to please stand up. $1 million gifts are not common in the world of public-private partnerships to solve big problems. Given that, I am deeply grateful to announce a new leadership donor to this fund. I am pleased to introduce Roger, whose company is undertaking a major expansion in the city with new building on the South Boston waterfront. MassMutual is dedicated to developing long-term sustainable solutions for our communities and residents who have been left behind. Their support for Boston's Way Home Fund is a testament to their vision. It's a tremendous honor for me to announce today that MassMutual will commit $1 million to Boston's Way Home Fund. I want to thank you, Roger. I want to thank you, Roger. And I had a conversation. Poor Roger, we were talking about the building one day on the phone, and we're just going back and forth on the building and the timing and can we get it built and how we're going to do it. And he said, well, if there's anything I can do for you, let me know. I said, as a matter of fact, there is. I need $1 million for Boston's Way Home Fund. And he took a little breath and he said, okay, I'll get back to you in a little while. And literally within an hour, he called back and said, we're in. I want to thank you for that. With this new gift, the fund now is $6.2 million. This is my ask, and I know you've been asked before. I look around this room. I see a lot of people that work in the social service field. and I see a lot of people that work in the for-profit field. We are going through an experience in our city right now like we've never seen before when it comes to economic development. In the last 5 years, we've grown Boston's economy. We've added 120,000 new jobs, about 50,000 new people living in our city. We used to build buildings and hope to fill them. Today, we're building buildings for companies to move to our city that are coming to our city. We are $3.8 million away from Boston's Way Home Fund. I know Pine Street has another fund. Our goal was to raise $10 million over 4 years. I quite honestly thought we were going to raise $10 million in 1 year. In my time as mayor, we've approved 56 million square feet of new development in the city of Boston. In 2017, we broke a record for one-year approvals. In 2018, we're about $2 million short of that. In 2019, we're on that pace again. We're doing good in Boston. The Boston business community, who is very philanthropic, are doing good in Boston. We should be able to raise the rest of this money before the end of this year. And I'm asking you to go back to your companies. I'm asking you to go back to your boards and say, listen, if we want to truly make investments, because as all of this building is happening in our city and all these great companies and all these young people are coming to our city, there is no reason why in Boston, Massachusetts, that we shouldn't be able to raise $10 million a month to go to homeless, never mind $10 million a year. It shouldn't take us 4 years to raise $10 million. So I'm asking you in this room today to go back, have a conversation. I appreciate the $50,000 donations and I appreciate the $100,000 donations, but I want you to go back and have real conversations at your table, because there are thousands and thousands of people like Charlie. There are thousands and thousands of people like the people in this video. It was mentioned 2 or 3 times today. 3% of the people that are homeless live on the streets of Boston. That doesn't mean that's all the homeless folks we have. We have hundreds of people right now living on the streets of Boston, living in Pine Street, living in other programs around the city, that are willing to go to their own apartment if we give them a set of keys. We can't give them a set of keys if we don't build. And we are going to build. And I'm asking you today, please, when you leave here today, you might have that good spirit right now, and like me, when you walk out that door, something else happens and your mind goes somewhere else. We're asking you, let's raise this money so we can continue to make sure that we get to zero. Thank you very much.
So, thank you to the mayor. When you look at the group that's up here, this is what community looks like in Boston, people. This is what we do. This is who we are as a city. And we're so pleased and proud to be part of it. And to everybody up here, I wish I could tell you just what a boost it's been. You know, we're talking about building our biggest supportive housing project ever in the city of Boston. We've got the site. We've got a great partner in Community Builders. Got the mayor and the fund that we're working on. We just need to get it built. So, and all the proceeds from today's breakfast will go towards the fund. So for those of you that are willing to write a check for the match, we appreciate that. It will help a lot. You know, one of the things I worry about a lot, and I say this to our staff, I feel like we can never say thank you enough, and I'm always trying to find more creative ways to say thank you, because we would not exist without your help. We wouldn't be here without the community that we are a part of. A couple of months ago, because it's our 50th, somebody had the idea that we had to get some pictures taken, and I was up on our roof, which, trust me, I never go up on our roof. And I don't go up on the tower either, by the way, just in case anybody's wondering, but I happened to be up there, and I came back and I said, you know, that's really a lovely tower. We should do more with it. And one of the ways that we would like to say thank you to all of our lead donors and the mayor is to and I think it's going to go up on the screen. Am I right about that? There we go. So there's our tower. Now, you'll have to use your imagination, but we're going to hang a banner starting in June through the summer with a thank you to all of our donors. So all of you sitting in traffic on the expressway can see No, to all the donors, but honestly, I just want to say, we really want to say thank you and acknowledge want to acknowledge just how grateful we are, and we want to really tell the world that these companies have stepped up. They've been terrific and just wonderful leaders in the fight against homelessness in our city. So thank you for that. I want to thank Nicole for being with us so very early, and Channel 5 for hosting us, the mayor, to all of you for being here today. Please, stay in touch with us on social media. Come down and see the place. We have lots of staff here. Talk to the staff about you're interested in coming down and helping out some way. Come visit one of our houses and meet some of our tenants. They're really lovely and wonderful people and not nearly as scary as sometimes people think. But please, get involved with us. We will be back here next year on May 6th for our Home Remedy Breakfast next year. And we are doing one special 50th event on September 26th, the one and only 50th event. This is our regular breakfast. But thank you for supporting this fund. Thanks for being here today, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.